Well, g'day, Darryl. Thanks so much for taking part in this experiment of cafe conversations. First question, drink of choice at a cafe.
At a cafe. I would normally have a long black.
Yes.
Yeah, I love the traditional flavour of coffee.
Yes.
But I've broken all tradition this morning. I had a soy.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just because the long black sometimes is too hot.
And the best cafe you've ever been to, or the best coffee you've ever had?
Oh, in Rome, I would have thought.
Really?
Yeah. Uno espresso, grazie, I think it is. So a little espresso shot.
Yes.
Yeah, they've got bars over there. You can just walk up to a window and just order a little espresso and sip that down. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, the topic for discussion today, or the conversation, the questions, is on the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
As part of our series on devoted discipleship, we're up to number 2 and reading the Bible. So you make it your practice to read the Bible. Why is that such an important thing for a Christian to do? For you to do?
Well, for me to do, the Bible to me, it's not just the inspired word of God, it's also our manual for life. For me personally, I'm a self-confessed lazy person, so I need a manual and a script, if you like, or a checklist to keep myself in check. When you don't refer back to the manual in anything, whether it's being a Christian or flying a plane, you forget what you should be doing.
Yep.
And you can be doing it not so much wrong, but I think you could be doing it a lot better and getting a better result and feeling a lot better about things. So I find if I don't go back to my Christian manual, the Bible, the inspired word of God, I find myself straying away from feeling like I'm part of God's people,
Yep.
basically, and
Yeah.
that can lead to lots of bad feelings and just, I suppose, the thought of straying away from the love of God is the worst thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's my reference manual
Yeah. Cool.
that I need to keep going back to.
So you're a pilot with the RFDS. Are
Yep.
we allowed to say that on camera?
Yeah, I'm wearing the shirt. So.
Yeah. So if you just using that analogy, what's the best that could happen if you're not reading the maps or the manuals or stuff like that while you're flying? What's the best outcome?
The best
you
outcome?
can hope for?
Well, you'll get there, but you might not have taken the correct route, or you might have caused some damage to the aircraft on the way.
I think most Christians, if not every Christian, has found times where they just find it really hard to read the Bible, to have any sense of discipline about it or consistency with it. So when have you found it, what are some of the things that you find difficult about reading the Bible?
Oh, exactly that, being disciplined about it. So one of the things I try to do is have a daily routine, if you like. Routines are good for lots of things, for exercise, for eating, for sleep habits. I need to personally incorporate reading the Bible into that. My only failing in that is being a lazy person. That's sometimes the first thing to be thrown out when I want to skip to the next one of eating food or something like that.
Yes.
So I just need to be more regimented, I suppose, and disciplined in doing that. And it's encouraging when you read the passages of the Bible that say we should be disciplined. And it's a bit like, I like to dress nicely when I go to church. I think, well, why can't we just put that little bit of extra effort in for something? It's not just a thing to rock up at, even though it is if you want it to be, but make the extra effort, go the extra mile sort of thing.
Yep.
So I think it's good that God tells us we should be efficient, we should be structured, and I think that's one way of Him telling us to live our lives in a structured manner and to incorporate reading the Bible as part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So when have you found reading the Bible to be a great joy? When have you found, you've been reading the Bible, you've either been reading it and gone, this is awesome, or you've been going, I'm looking forward to doing it. I'm looking forward to grabbing the Bible and sitting on the chair and getting stuck into it.
Yep.
When have you found reading the Bible a joy?
Without trying to sound too corny, it's every time I pick it up and actually read it, I
Yep.
find it a joy. It's it really does engulf you. But there have been a few times where I've really wanted to look something up, and it might be when I'm trying to help someone through something. They're in a time of pain, through a death or sickness or something like that. But I think it's uncanny that whatever we're feeling at the time, whatever's going on in our lives, whatever we're reading in the Bible seems to be exactly what we need to be reading.
Yep.
And I don't think that's a coincidence anymore. I think that is the living Word of God, and it's living because He is the one feeding us with His knowledge and love. So those are the times when you really need something, or if you just take the time to sit down and read the Bible, relate what you're reading to whatever you're going or experiencing in life at the time, and it will be relatable. That's what I've found.
So it's not a dry theoretical exercise.
No, not at all. And it's part of you being in tune, your one-on-one relationship with God. And if you then lead that into a time of prayer, that's even better, because you can have a conversation with Him. So you've learned from Him, He's feeding you with His knowledge, and then you can talk to Him about it if you like.
Yeah.
So I find that always a good segue.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So how do you go about reading the Bible?
At the moment, unless we're doing a specific topic, I tend to use, I've got a prayer book, an Anglican prayer book. I've got both the physical book and the app on my phone. So if I'm away and I don't have the book, I just flick open the morning prayers, for example, for the day, and I read the suggested readings for the day.
Yep.
And that's my starting point. However, I do tend to want to try and read a chunk of Bible throughout the year. So at the moment I'm reading Revelation. So even though I read the readings from the morning or evening prayer, whichever time I get to sit down and do it, I will always then try and go and read at least a chapter of whatever book I'm trying to read at the time.
Yep.
How do I choose what book to read? I chose Revelation just because I felt I needed to pick me up, which might sound a bit strange, but I find it very uplifting to read Revelation.
Yep. So you read Revelation, deliberately read Revelation just before you go to bed at night?
Sometimes, but no, not consistently, no. So I think the next book I might choose to read will be from the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've already got a plan, you're already thinking through, so you've got the consistency in the morning or in the evening through the prayer book readings, the reading set that are often generally in sequence,
Mm-hmm.
and you're reading through Revelation, but you've already got in your head something you're going to do next.
Yeah, but that's not set in concrete either.
No.
I might get something might happen in the next couple of weeks before I finish Revelation, and which might lead me to read something else. So, yeah.
But it's pretty awesome that you've got that. You're thinking ahead into you've got that plan that you're going to. Well, this is going to be an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be a thing you're going to leave to chance.
Well, that's right, and it should be an ongoing thing. I mean, I remember I had a friend at uni also who would only ever watch one movie once.
Yep.
And he would say to me, in my questioning of that, he'll say, "Well, I've already seen it. I know how it ends."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, do you only listen to one song once?
Yep.
You know, do you only eat the same meal once because it was good back then? You don't want to eat it again because it won't be as good this time?" Well, you know, the Bible's like that too. It's a working manual all the time. You just keep reading. If you finish it, start again.
Yeah. So have there been times, just on that, have there been times where you've read something that you'd read before and went, that was perfect for me now more than it was then? Or
I think that is the case, and not that I've necessarily recognised that as being the case at the time, but I think it might be evident in the fact that I've read through it and nothing has jumped out at me at that time.
Yep.
So whereas if I read it before and it did jump out at me, then bang, there's a relevance to what I'm experiencing at the moment.
Yeah. So it's always relevant.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you'll get to the end of? I suppose that does show that there is no. You never get to the end of it. You never go, well, I know everything I need to know.
Well, you never get to the end of it, and that also, makes me think of eternity.
Yeah.
You never get to the end of that either.
Yeah.
So why start now?
Yeah. So how does reading the Bible, how does that actively help your relationship with God? So again, just from what you said before, the idea of relationship, and it's not just a manual. It is a manual, and it does help us through life. And what's the person who makes something? The
creator or
the creator, the
designer,
manufacturer's instructions.
Yeah.
So the manufacturer's instructions, you'd expect it to be helpful, but how does the Bible help you in your relationship with God, not just in knowing the right things to do and the right way to live?
It keeps it active.
Yeah.
It's an active relationship. One of the sayings that I don't like in life is that distance makes the heart grow fonder. I think it's quite the opposite. Distance makes you forget or makes wounds heal, sort of thing. So and that's evident with when you move from town to town and what were once and probably they still are good friends in a relationship sense. You just don't keep in contact.
Yep.
And then you might start missing birthdays and all that sort of stuff. So it's that constant interaction with that person, whether it's through their word written down in a message or a phone call or something like that. That's the interaction you need to keep relationships active.
Yep.
And one of the best ways we can keep our relationship active with God is to listen to what He's telling us in His book, in His manual.
Yeah. Wonderful. So you like reading the Bible. You've been reading it for quite some time. In all of that time, is there a verse that sticks out for you, a verse that's your favourite, and why?
I do have a favourite, and I actually share this verse with my minister when I was living in Tamworth, Peter Stavert, who now lives in Sydney. Proverbs 3, 5 and 6. Ah,
yes.
Yes, you know it?
It says?
It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understandings. Follow him in all ways and He will make straight your paths." Or variations of that. I like that for two reasons. One, because I think it's a great guide. It says so much in a couple of sentences, trust in Him in all ways, There's no ifs or buts about that. And if you trust and follow His ways, He will make your paths straight. And it relates back to what I was saying about the instruction manual.
Yep.
Like, this is what I'm saying, this is the instructions for life, this is the manual. Do it and you'll be fine. The other reason, or the reason I first looked at that passage, when I was a teenager and was confirmed, the Bishop of Bathurst at the time signed the front of my Bible, which was the one given to me that I read when I was at uni that day, by my godmother. She gave it to me, King James. And he wrote Proverbs 3, 5 to 6. So that prompted me to look that passage up in years to come.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think that was a coincidence.
Yeah.
So that's the only verse I could really say is my favourite, just for want of remembering a verse.
No, good. That's good. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. You going to buy me a coffee now?
Yeah.